Yup, as we say in the northern Midwest. Having kept myself remote from suffocating or drowning in the holding tank, the septic tank of our culture, I can say my heart and words are pure, or relatively so, at least for a member of the tribe of writers, that peculiar race of junkies, alkies, cads, whiners, amateur gynecologists, and desolation angels. They'll do anything to get your attention, like starting a story with, "I can never forgive her for killing our beloved dog with a butcher knife." Occasionally, my self-righteousness makes me a tad nervous. Maybe I'm a victim of a genetic glitch in my family. Maybe I suffer a number of mental and bodily diseases for which there are no apparent symptoms. I can't forget my great-uncle Floyd, who was the most unsuccessful knife-thrower in the history of the American circus. An émigré from Sweden, near the Arctic Circle, Floyd had an uncommon flash and sense of showmanship, but ended up wounding a total of 11 women, none fatally, before the Barnum and Bailey authorities convinced him to retire. Curiously, despite his public record, Floyd had no problem finding women to stand there and take their chances. A cousin told me that when Floyd died at age 88 in Wisconsin on May 18, 1957, he said on his deathbed, "I could have been a famous knife thrower, but I just couldn't throw knives." I also admit that I reached full sexual maturity at age 7, about the same time that many began to caution me about my gluttony. One afternoon I caught and ate 10 nice trout and felt a bit ill, but not too ill to climb a dozen trees that evening to peek in the windows at the members of the high school cheerleading squad, whose high-kicking antics drove me into a batty sexual froth. More than once I was caught by a puzzled father. "Jimmy, why are you up in that tree?" "I'm picking walnuts for my mom." "But that's a pine tree." "Nobody told me." That sort of thing. I want to make my own record clear, as so many in America are doing this election year, when we all feel a little like toilet seats with so many big political asses aimed at us. It's certainly time to head to the woods or mountains with a load of groceries and French wine. In our own case, we are in the mountains near the Mexican border, purposely without a television, so we don't have to actually watch those zoo monkeys throwing shit at each other. Recently, due to the deaths of my brother in December and one of our dearest friends only 3 weeks before him, I've been trying to pitch my vaunted negative capability out of this moving window and come to some conclusions. For instance, I've noted that a large number of otherwise intelligent Americans believe that a particular combination of food and vitamins will produce miracles. Is living until 81 instead of 78 a miracle? I have at odd times tried tofu and think of it as a gustatory self-laceration, well below boiled pig liver on my list of preferences. Many of my male friends have of late been on strange diets so that younger women won't regard them as biological outcasts. If they are successful, younger women will think of them as thin old men. Of course, it is natural to wonder how you got so old, but then you're ignoring the obvious answer that it happened behind your back, in moment-by-moment increments. I've never been the man I used to be. If we keep descending into reality, we discover that we are as likely to be attractive again as our boyhood dog is to arrive at the back door with that softball he couldn't find 50 years ago. I suspect that time, our singular most fatal disease, has to keep itself largely behind our backs because that's where the culture wishes it to be. It is wonderful how early in life we begin tinkering and toying with our genitals, and then move on to the genitals of others. This is the lovely way that species further themselves. In the outer reaches of the universe, even stars continue to calve. How disturbed should we be that everywhere we look, banality has metastasized, and sexuality is a trillion-dollar industry? Not much. In these times of personal mental duress, I found myself making soup, a far reach from November when I sat down in France with a dozen others to a 37-course lunch. The lunch was basically scholarly in nature. In short, we were searching for truth of the kind that university professors are said to look for, though I know only a few of these rascals feeding at the public trough. I suspect that in making soups, I was looking for bedrock,